Meshpoint podcast. And tonight we're excited to have our first repeat guests, and we get to have them both at the same time. Welcome, Jeremy Reed, Terry Harrison, and we're excited to have you guys, first of all. And second of all, typically we do a little intro, but for the listeners that don't know, we want you guys to maybe talk about a new opportunity you guys have both dove into head first, and tell us about where you're at now and why you're there and why you like it.
Yeah, well, I'll go first, and we can kind of piece it together however you want. So our previous podcast episodes, we worked at different schools, and so and so now we're working here together. But we just I just took the head football coaching job at Friends University in Wichita, Kansas. And we were previously at Bethel College here in Kansas, and Jeremy was our offensive coordinator there at Bethel. He had previously came from UConn, and so now we're here together along with Eric Kelly, who's been on the podcast as well. He's our slots coach, recruiting coordinator, and if you're not familiar with Kansas, there's a lot of small schools out here, and the school we were at, it's actually about 30 minutes away. Bethel's 30 minutes away from Friends, but because I've been a Wichita guy my whole career. Friends has always been the job that people have kind of just hinted at, like if some people get that job and that could be the job that could be the best in the state, and even we believe potentially in the country at the NEI level. And so, a lot of people don't understand, or maybe from the outside, if you're in another state, like Tony down in Florida may not understand why you would lead back-to-back conference championships at Bethel College to come to Friends University. But in our opinion, it is by no means a lateral move. It is something that, man, the 5-year track or the 5-year, vision for this program, man, we're really excited. And, certainly, it's going to be hard and in one of those deals, but, man, Friends is a special place. And I think when people get up here and they're able to see it, man, I think they'll truly understand. But that's what we're doing now. And obviously, I'm very lucky to have my good friend Jeremy Reed, who now I get to work with every day as our offensive coordinator. And I'll let him expand on that a little bit. So you got it, Coach.
Yeah, man. First, just thank you, Matt and Tony, for having us on. I listened to every one of these. I think I have listened to every one, or I know I have. And, man, I just love listening to all the guys in the option community. It's a special group of people. And, I am super excited to be at Friends University, and more so than anything, just be working with Terry and the rest of our staff, Eric Kelly, and then our defensive coordinator, Paul Kemp. As I took a career change almost, is what it felt like, going from being, a high school head coach in Oklahoma for, I think, 13 out of my 17 years in high school football. And, just knew that I wanted to do something different. And Terry and I got on the phone and went through a lot of different conversations to get to this point regarding, my transition to Bethel last spring and then now to Friends. But, man, you wouldn't find a better group of people or more loyal coaching staff to each other, who just loves coming to work and being around each other. And then you throw on top the love of option football between Terry and I and Eric. It's a pretty special combination. So, we're just excited to be a small part of the option community and just love helping everybody that has the opportunity to reach out to us.
Well, Tony and I are certainly excited for y'all's new opportunity, and we just know it's going to be great. History has proven that, and we're also excited you guys could stay together. You came together last year or a little before, I guess, and then we're able to stay together. I know that's important, and I can hear you, man. When you're smiling and it's fun to be coaching together, particularly at the college level, man, that makes it special for sure. For sure.
Well, Coach, tell us what kind of players you're looking to recruit for Friends.
Yeah, well, what we want is like a lot of people, right? One of the best players, man, that we can get out there that fit our scheme. And like we talked about on the last one, I think, our recruiting philosophy has not changed, and so, we want those tough kids. And I was a high school coach at one time, like Jeremy, and, we all had those kids. I've coached kids that played at the major, Power 5 and Group of 5 schools. I've coached those kids. But sometimes the best players happen to be the guys, or maybe a little bit too short, maybe didn't have quite the measurables, but they were still the most impactful kids in our program. And so, those are the kids that we're looking for. And, the kids that are your favorite type of kid. And so that really hasn't changed. We want those dynamic guys with the ball. And we want those, tough, nasty O-linemen that everybody knows. And I think, I think we're doing some unique things in the passing game that we're attracting some big time receivers now, which has been really cool. And I think that's kind of in the option community at the college level, that's one of the things. It is a hurdle, and you have to embrace that hurdle. How can you get impact receivers? And our commitment to throwing the ball and what we've done, we're actually, man, we're bringing in some big time cats, really receivers. And so we're committed to that phase of the game on top of, rushing for 410 yards a game. And so those are the kids we're recruiting. The NEI has a pretty low academic standard for base eligibility, right? And that's not a bad thing. But we do need we need kids at I think our goal is like, the 3.0 GP. If there just be a 3 in front of it, that's the goal. We can get kids in under that, but certainly want the right academic fit. And I'll tell you what, more than anything, what's changed is it's not even who we're recruiting. Mm-hmm. It's about, sorry, I had a call come in. It's more about what we have to offer now. And so here's what's amazing. We now are at a school. We have 2,000 undergraduate kids enrolled. We have 5,000 just short of 5,000 people in our campus community, but we have 9 graduate programs now. Kids can get their master's degree in 5 years. Wow. We have 2 full-time strength coaches. Man, just on and on, beautiful facilities, right? And the nicest freshman door in the state of Kansas. So honestly, we're going to keep recruiting those same type of kids we have recruited, right? Yeah. But more than that, it's when kids get to us, man, we're in the middle of downtown Wichita, which is the biggest city in Kansas. So when you get kids from urban areas, the Houston, Texas, the Fort Worth, Los Angeles, California, the Tallahassees and all that stuff, they're going to fit in and it's going to look a lot like home. But when we get kids like we're from Tony, we're Tony's neck of the woods, right, or smaller towns, it is a small Christian college still, and people are going to know who you are, right? And so that's what's really unique. I honestly think across the country, it's the best blend of both anywhere in the country. And so, man, I'm excited about it, but the deal with grad programs, the 2 full-time strength coaches, all of those things, honestly, that's the why. We have a academic success coordinator who's full-time with 4GA. So our kids are in an academic resource center at the NEI level, right? And so what we say all the time is it's not selfish to want a big time experience. You hear D1, you hear D2, and people, they start measuring these things against each other. But really what they want the Division I experience, whatever that is. And the really cool part is now we have that to offer for kids that may not be the measurables, right? And so, man, I'm passionate about it. I can talk forever about it, but man, we want those Christian warrior kids like you've heard me talk about before. That's really important in our program. And man, if we can get those kids who love each other, love their coaches, want to honor their parents and honor God and be Christian warriors, we know, man, we think honestly, this is the best NEI job in the country. And we want to be the first Flexbone team to win a national championship. That's our goal.
Yeah, awesome. We're pulling for just a quick carry on there. Obviously you're going to go to every neck of the woods in Kansas, obviously, but are you looking to maybe expand a footprint? I mean, I know you're there early, you're not sure, but do you think you'll expand a footprint a little bit, maybe based on, maybe contacts guys have or things like that? Maybe different, I guess, would be compared to maybe where you were in the past.
Yeah, well, certainly, getting Jeremy on board, who's an Oklahoma guy, that's helped us tremendously in Oklahoma. And even though that's our neighbor, right? That's just south of us here in Kansas. Our ability to recruit Oklahoma has jumped exponentially just based on him being here. And he knows, not every high school coach, but he knows most of the high school coaches in Oklahoma. I was already deeply rooted in Kansas. Right. And obviously now, like you talked about, you're right. A kid out of Washington, D.C. can show up here and they see buildings, they see skyscrapers. So yes, I think that is a goal of ours. And we have some states in mind that we're looking at that we want to reach out to where, because the truth of the matter is there's so many schools in the Midwest, these small schools. I went to one, by the way. It's not bad. It's just different that they are rural and there are one blinking light. Whereas if you come into Kansas now, the airport is 3 miles from our campus. It truly is the biggest city in Kansas. And there's 2 malls and blah, 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 all these things to where a kid, because the goal is to get degrees, right? Yep. Well, if your kid has culture shock so bad that they don't stay, we've all shortchanged these kids. And we think like you talked about, yes, we want to expand our footprint, and especially with the accessibility to the airport. We just think, obviously, you hear me talk about, I get jacked up when we start talking about that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, I think you're right on there. I mean, a targeted approach to that expansion would be tremendous, right? That'd be pretty cool.
Right.
So for the listeners out there, if you got some guys, send them to friend.
Let's go. They'll love it. You'll love it. Plenty of hotel space in Wichita.
That's right. Hey, for those of the listeners that I hate to say this, maybe been living under a rock. I mean, what tell us what the offense is going to look like, buddy. I mean, we know, but not everybody knows.
The two things that are never going to change if I'm in charge of an offense and Terry Harrison is associated with it, and that's we're going to run zone dive and we're going to run the true inside veer. That's just who we are. We think that's what everything's built around. Yep. We think that's what has made the success that we've had. Now that doesn't mean that we don't do a lot of other things, right? So we're always going to, run mid triple. We're always going to be mid double. We're going to run our toss jet package. We really like those combined. We got into where we really like the trap play. We're gonna carry a base package of run schemes that can answer all the different questions that come about during the course of a season with all the different fronts we see. And we've kind of got our number in mind, with our practice time and how we've kind of correlated, how much we get in a work week. Everything revolves around that. There's a million good schemes and there's a lot of great option football coaches, and it doesn't mean we all run the same scheme. But for us, if we can stay around probably 8 to 9 schemes in the run game, we're going to feel really good about what we're doing time-wise and practice-wise. And then, like Terry said, the thing that has changed for me and for him and for us as a combo together is, I really put in an enormous amount of time starting last spring, just completely blowing up our passing game and completely restructuring it. And it's been a ton of fun. For me, it's been a ton of fun for Eric and for Terry, for all of us, just kind of do this thing together in multiple ways of how we structure it, how we build some things within the pass game, just like we did the run game with tagging things out and doing some things way different with how we teach our quarterback. And so, the offense is always going to be run first. We're going to always take great pride in being a detailed offense that loves pitching the football in the perimeter, but we'll also, just pound away at you in the inside run game if it's allowed. But the thing we will never shy away from is being able to take shots over the top and take deep passes. And then, the things that we've been doing recently is taking advantage of what I call some of these void areas that you better come up and take advantage of as a defense of some run fits that are going to open up some things that I believe in the passing game we're getting ready to exploit.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Coach, I've enjoyed your tweets, man, about, wrapping up last year. And one of the tweets I really enjoyed was about inside veer and how you brought it back, man. You made it an integral part of what you guys did. Can you kind of maybe talk a little bit about that? I know Matt's happy.
Yeah, well, Matt can tell you I sent him a couple messages because I knew his love for inside veer.
Yep.
And, it's just one of the – like I said, this offense can be ran so many different ways, and you can have success with so many different ways. If you put Terry and I in a room and take us to different rooms and interrogate us, there's two things you're just not going to get different, and that's we're going to run zone dive very well, and we're going to run inside veer. And the reason for that, in our opinion, is it's very hard to defend both very well. It's really hard to defend zone dive and inside veer as a combo, and, they feed off each other. And that's not to say that we don't have other plays that we believe go into this category, but man, inside veer is a phenomenal football play. And I know it's not as popular as it once was. And some reason for that is maybe odd fronts. And we have our answers for what we think we can do versus odd fronts still with inside veer. But man, we were dedicated to it. There was multiple games that we ran inside veer over 20, 25, 30 times, and some of that was out of, just want to, and some of it was out of need, to be quite honest with you. Last year, starting week 4, we started a true freshman quarterback out of Houston, Texas, that had never been under center in his life, much less ran the option. And we're sitting there in big time ball games running the inside veer over 20 times. And, it was really an affirming year for me. You know, it was my first full year in college football and being alongside Terry and Eric. And, you know, we always give tremendous credit to what Terry and I've learned to Coach Kenny Wheaton. You know, he's a great mentor of ours. And, you know, I do a lot of things the same way he does, but I will say I think we do some things differently. And that's not to say that we do them better, okay? But we definitely do a few things differently. And the thing that affirmed what we do is how we teach our kids, you know, some inside veer things as far as getting us into the right tag, footwork by our old linemen, rules by our old linemen, quarterbacks thought process pre and post snap. And, you know, I just walked away from that year not patting ourselves on the back, but going, hey, if we can do this with a true freshman quarterback that's never been under center, that came to us not knowing anything about option count, much less anything else that you guys know that makes this offense go. And we ran that play at a 60% grade over 162 times in a season. Man, the inside veer is still alive and well, and we'll continue to run it.
Yeah. And Terry, I'm sure that makes you happy as the O-line coach, right? Because a lot of times when you're looking through your technique manual and your drill manuals and everything, a lot of those things, a lot of those teaching points are going back to that play, you know, a lot of them. So.
Well, I mean, it's an amazing deal. I mean, that's what the whole offense is built on it. Everybody builds their terminology on it. And it kind of feels like people are getting away from it. And I know there's valid reasons for all of that.
Yeah.
But you know, it truly is a fixer. You could argue it's a counter in a lot of ways, you know, a counter to how people defend some of the other stuff you do. And so it's, right. I'll tell you this, you mean, Jeremy put it pretty well, and I can't necessarily put it better than that, but I can tell you, you know, man, we did a great job with veer this year, and I'm so proud of those guys. And we did it, you know, we're all coaches, and there's job changes and people that have dreams and goals. And, you know, to be able to do it at the level we did with a freshman quarterback who came from a spread background, man, it's just amazing. And it proves the old adage that, you know, kids will rise to their level of expectation. And we didn't water it down. We didn't shy away from it. That dude came in there and rolled, and we just, you know, we make jokes about Larry and Tyser, you know, the YouTube sensation, but we call it send it, right? But we straight in and we called the best play for what we've got, and Veer was it. And man, he did a great job of that as a quarterback. But I think it also speaks to, you know, how we practice, obviously, and what Jeremy coached that kid to do. And man, it was fun to watch. I'll tell you that. But like you talked about, as the O-line coach, man, zone dive and inside veer. If you don't like that, man, well, anybody who wouldn't like that ain't listening to this podcast. So should be music to all these guys' ears, right?
Yeah. No doubt.
No doubt. So, Coach, can you talk a little bit about you know, checkpoints with that play? You know, maybe somebody who's listening is just getting into it, and I know that was a big thing for me when I got to go to Harding Clinic and learn how you watch film, practice film, you know, and look at the checkpoints. You know, you don't have to go into maybe all of it, but just, you know, how you use checkpoints to maybe correct timing and that kind of thing.
Yeah, you know, that's a great question. Terry and I were fortunate, and Eric, to travel around I think it was about 7 camps last year. And, you know, inside veer was a big topic, and I won't go real deep into where that went. But in my opinion, the hardest thing about inside veer is this exact topic that you brought up, and that's the timing. You know, and it's multifaceted, right? So, you know, if we're talking about timing, we're going backfield related. And, you know, the importance of timing is in the details of how you're teaching your footwork of your slots and how you're teaching the footwork of the quarterback B-back mesh. And, you know, so the first thing we're going to look for is when we snap that football and, you know, we get our quarterback into the mesh and he takes those first 2 steps, we're wanting to see that A back at that point. He's probably going to be right there in the backside A. And by the time we get to the end of the mesh, he needs to be right there in the play side A for if we get some kind of, depending on what you call it, boom, boom, stun or blood stunt, that ball can be pitched out in front. But, you know, that sounds super easy sitting here, you know, talking about it. But, man, that's where a lot of failures come into place, whether it's poor motioning of not hands, heels, you know, people going straight through the heels is a common thing that we see, or, you know, depending on what the depth is that you ask your A-back to be from the tackle. Is he too close? Is he too far back? There are just so many variables in that backside motion guide to get in proper timing for those things. And then, man, when you're marrying that with a quarterback who's matching steps, you know, with the B-back, man, it gets very, very intricate in what you're asking to do. And the thing that, I've been coaching really hard the last 2 years, whether it was back at UConn with our quarterback coach there, who's a Harding grad, or whether it's since I've been at Bethel coaching quarterbacks, is, really working on that weight transfer, which is part of the timing, to be quite honest with you. And then the pushing around collision. I know that was something new for the Bethel quarterbacks. And, Terry and I were not going back and forth, but just, I was trying to help him understand why in the world it looks like our quarterback's taking a reverse path back there. Hey, where's he going? Yeah. And it's truly a timing mechanism to get that downhill pitch path, and so as he pushes off that mesh and he does a second, what I call a second step crossover to replace number one, man, when that happens, his shoulders are pointed straight downfield, square, and he is pitching that sucker on the line of scrimmage. And man, we are working downhill fast. And that's what Coach Kelly does a phenomenal job of, is getting our A-backs down in that alley where we're 0 by 1 right there on the line of scrimmage. And man, we are just pitching that ball really, really lateral and getting downhill. And, those things are how we get better. Terry will tell you, I'm kind of the notes guy. Every day we do option drill or anything with this in relation to pitches, man, I am making notes and handing those to Coach Kelly and Coach Harrison regarding what we're seeing at practice. And man, that's the only way that we know to keep on top of it, because if you start letting the timing mechanism of inside veer slide, man, you will get exploited big time on game day. And I think that's why the three of us took such great pride in how it went this year. Is, man, it takes a lot of work and a lot of intentionality, in our opinion, to be really, really good at inside veer. And it's not that any of the three of us think we're the best in the country, because I promise you, we stole everything we know from somebody else, right? But, man, we stayed accountable to each other, and we held each other to a high standard. And, boy, our kids sure performed well on game days because of it.
Yeah, and I think, too, like a lot of the frustration from guys comes from this question, like, why I want to run it, I'm running it, and it's not performing like I want it to. And I think if you can find ways to help people see those checkpoints, proximity on film, you know what I mean, whether it's their film or Harding's film or your guys' film, whoever's film, something they can actually see. I think it can help take, the frustration away to the point where they want to keep working at it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's, I don't know. Obviously we believe in it. And, but, I think if you can understand this stuff, it becomes easier, may not be the word I'm looking for, but it becomes clearer on how to coach it, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We've even done, and people have asked us this a lot through the years, why do you get in the I formation some? And I won't go into all the reasons, but because we're on this topic, I'll tell you one way that we've gotten I is it's better on timing on the inside veer. You pick that guy right there where he's supposed to be. You freeze him until the end of the mesh, and now he's already in pitch relationship. So when we'll go do some of these camps or work with guys that come on our campus, whether you use the eye or not, let that be a starting point sometimes, just to let the kids feel that downhill pitch path. And that's, just one small tactic that we've used, and definitely not the reason we get in the eye totally. Right. But I've sure seen that, whether it was back in my high school days, just a couple years ago, or whether it was here trying to get implemented at Bethel last year. Man, those kids feel how to get downhill and where to be when you put them right there.
Isn't it funny how things come full circle?
Yeah.
Right.
That's a great point. That's a great point you make. And I was laughing. I was laughing a little bit because he said just a couple of years ago, I thought he was talking about his high school playing days for a minute.
No, we know better than that.
I was like, come on, man.
Yeah. Better than that. I wouldn't have been running the option either. I was too slow.
Yeah.
The other funny part, just to piggyback that a little bit, was, every time when I think about our staff, right, and we want to look, if we'll ever get there, I don't know, but our goal to be the best option staff of the country. That's our goal, right? And if that's not your goal, you need to not be doing this, by the way. But that's our goal, and that's what we're doing. But it always reminds me, I think every time I've ever been around Kenny, he's mentioned, don't be the guy that tolerates bad stuff. And I think our success on Inside Vid this year was no egos, no excuses. no one wanted to be the guy that tolerated bad stuff. So between me, EK or Coach Kelly and Jeremy, we didn't want to be the position group that failed that play. And, when we got back and watched film and, because of the nature of our roles and with the recruiting aspect of this job, Jeremy's tasked with watching film and telling us what we're bad at. And whether that's, if it's his quarterback or if it's the tackle or the guard or the slot, man, we sat in a room and we had like I said with Jeremy, we'd have notes on every practice and every drill. And we were, and obviously Jeremy's a super detail oriented guy, but you want to talk about a staff with no feelings, no egos. And it's like, okay, how can we be the best at this, or at least take one step closer to being the best at it? And it's simply that, this unified approach and no one wanting to be the guy that lets the group down. And in turn, no one be the guy to let our kids down. Right. And I think, man, if you got a staff that can do that, you can run inside veer for, just like we did. You can do it. It's just, man, you got to set those egos at the door. And I think that's what I'll always remember about this past year for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Very important. Let's transition to practice. And Tara, you can maybe go first and then Jeremy can talk about it. I mean, I think people have been on here, listened to, like, if you've listened once, you've listened 1,000 times. We always talk about practice, right? Being the secret sauce to the success. But without getting into, because we've talked about Harding style and we love it and it's the best, you know what I mean? But talk about maybe, I don't know if you've had any tweaks or changes or, anything you're doing a little differently that maybe popped up in your experience over all these years of using it, stuff that maybe the listeners could say, hey, I've been doing this way, but maybe here's a couple tweaks, things that have popped up over the years, and you could kind of talk about it.
Yeah, I know on the offensive line, outside of, some of the stuff you see, number one, we are committed to this non-impact practice. I mean, we don't, actually, I'm speaking in Kansas City at the Glazier Clinic, right? I actually love those things. I don't know, I feel like they've gone by the wayside, but I'm still a big fan. You get to see a lot of people. Yeah. I'm actually doing the Kansas City. And one of my topics is how we protect our offensive linemen during the week with non-impact drills. And the other is developing the hips of teaching developing O linemen to use their hips. Because honestly, me and Jeremy and EK and I've talked to a lot of guys on the whole idea of what does it mean to roll your hips, and that's what I've been, for lack of better words, nerding out on for the last 2 years. Like, are we really using our hips? How do we do that? And how do we drill that? And so honestly, what we did this year, and some of it was Jeremy and I, I was going through this progress of potentially changing our stance a little bit. And then when Jeremy came, we would bounce the stuff off of each other, and we did. So one of the things we've done in the last year, and we think on film, what we have done, we've lowered our butt a little bit in our stance and got a little more flat back in our stance. And so not quite as tall in the butt as we had been in the past. So that's been huge for us. And I feel like, I don't know why that is. I don't know if it just fits how I coach better. That's the amazing part. Cause I go and watch Kevin's kids and I'm like, dude, he's better than me. Cause I can't make kids do some of that stuff. Right. And it's just really funny how that works. And I just feel like I'm the worst coach in America. And so but we have lowered our butt and our stance a little bit. And I felt like that's helped us a lot. So we've done that. And then I've done a lot of stuff with ball work now. And, we had Seawalk speak. Coach Seawalk came and spoke at our clinic, last year at Bethel. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, marry the dog, Coach Rodriguez. You know what I'm saying?
Get them floorboards out, man. Let's get it.
So listen,
heel toe.
Yeah. So we've been, honestly, now I would say I just try to learn from people smarter than me with more experience than me. And so I like to think I'm maybe a blend of Coach Ewok and Coach Chisholm. So that's been awesome for us. I think marrying the dog, once I understood it, when you watch it, it's fascinating. And I think we all have watched it and laughed and joke. And but until I actually was in a room with Seawalk, I didn't understand it. And so now I do. Watching the film, I couldn't get it. I'll be honest with you. And so, but once I met with him in person, man, it triggered, okay, that's what it means to roll your hips. And so I felt like we made a huge jump in whatever you want to call it, hippiness or explosiveness. And I actually saw it translate more in games than I've ever seen. And we're still at a non-impact practice, but we're developing our hips through the week. And we do that some with cut balls and obviously hand shields and heavy bags. And I think that's been huge for us. And, so that's been awesome. And that's honestly been my focus. And I don't even know if it answers completely the practice question, but I can tell you in the offensive line side, that's been huge for us. And then Jeremy and I committed to, having our tackles at option drill. And so what I felt like we did, we do so much with our tackles in space, but I don't feel like we ever practiced it. So we would, so it's one thing to go do it, but it's one thing to tag it out and have your tackle go block somebody in space. But we kind of realized we don't ever practice that. We're pushing heavy bags and we're hitting shields, but we don't ever practice that. And so we committed to that. And I would say it'd be interesting to hear Jeremy when he starts talking about practice, but I really felt like the things I saw most on film was perimeter blocking by our tackles, because we committed to it. And then I do believe our non-impact drills, and we truly taught, I don't know if it's teaching or developing the hips, but man, this idea of what does it feel like to use your hips when you're blocking out of a flat back stance, that you better be coaching, because right now, if you listen to so many coaches, whether that's on social media or if you watch videos of it, these guys are playing in 2-point stances and they're already at a 45, their hips are up. I think they call it that spear technique, man. I'm an option guy, but where their hands are coming down from their hips. You know what I'm talking about, Tony?
Yeah, no doubt.
That's not what our guys do.
No.
And so the whole time I'm like, I could feel my hips when I was doing that. And I hope if there's O-line coaches listening to this, by the way, I hope they agree. Swallow your pride and shut down your ego and tell me I'm right. You know what it feels like to be hippie from a 2-point, but I don't think that translates to a flat back stance. You're not hippie. So what I think is what happens is option offensive linemen become strikers, not hippie guys. So they're simply striking O-linemen. They're not hippie. And so this idea of marrying the dog and learning what that feels like, that's it. The only way to roll your hips, in my opinion, through a block as an offensive lineman is to get in that married position. Then you have a hip that can extend. But if you don't do that, you're just saying hips because your O-line coach told you to do it. It's not true. You're not really using your hips. And so that's been, this has been, I'm trying to sum up a 3-year thought process in about 3 minutes there. But honestly, that's been a big deal. And I'm really excited. The cool part here at Friends is we've got a brand new group of O-linemen who they played in a 2-point stance last year. So we're hosting that clinic here. We're going to have everybody down here. If you're a first-year guy that's trying to do this, or you want to, put my thoughts to the test. I mean, we are truly doing this with kids who have not been in a 3-point stance, and we're going to be doing it here in about a month and a half. So anyway, that's been what I've been working on. And Jeremy, me and him talk about it all the time, but the hip conversation has been really cool on the offensive line side. And we do that, to answer your question, Matt, every day at practice. That's been our emphasis.
Gotcha.
Well, just so y'all know, I could do a whole podcast just talking about practice, because I love practice. So,
I do too.
A few thoughts that come to mind. Number one, as an overall, I personally think the best thing that we have done is we build our practice season so far in advance. So for instance, our fall practice schedule, as far as week by week, man, I'll do that early this summer. If not late May, depending on what's going on with different things. But man, we have what we call as a staff an offensive guide. And man, what a tool that has been. I started doing that a few years ago when I was at UConn. And man, it is absolutely, in my opinion, a game changer, because it is a true roadmap to what you need to accomplish as a coaching staff on each work day, and where you're never going to miss anything. And, I know that this community has a lot of structure already with how we do things. And that's what I love about this offense. But with this offensive guide, we've been able to build out just getting very specific on what we're going to do on each day in so many different ways, whether it's fronts, stunts, coverages, drills, sets. So, that's been one thing. Terry hit on the tackles coming to option drill. Man, that was something that was we dreamed of it while driving down the road to all these camps this summer. And man, that was huge. And, it was really good for Terry's tackles out in space. But I'll tell you what, the other added benefit is those A-backs catching that ball on the perimeter and seeing how these fits work. And, depending on 1 high, 2 high, we would have safeties, kids playing safeties from both angles, to where we're seeing the 1 versus the 2 high and letting those A-backs see where some of those collisions are going to happen. And there's no doubt we saw a big reward come on game days when running all the different things we ran on the inside veer and the mid triple on the perimeter. Another thing that I think we do unique, it's not completely unique to the college football world for sure, but Thursdays for us are no sweat Thursdays, where we're going to not do anything but walk through. And we committed to that all season. We saw great benefit from that. And one of the things we do on that day is what we call TTO. A lot of people do TTO with team takeoff, but when we're sitting there doing it, we're doing it with front stimming, and we're letting our kids slowly, they're walking through, and any adjustment that we're asking them to make as coaches, they're making it during that time. And first group, second group, third group. So yeah, we run the same 3 times over, but it sure is good for that second team guy and third team guy that's rolling through to see the same thing. And we're truly walking through it. And in my opinion, we saw great growth from, not just our starters, but man, we saw some kids that had to come in and play big time minutes down the stretch in some conference championship type ball games, have to make adjustments. And where do those come from? That walkthrough on Thursday. A lot of coaches, I know I was afraid of what a walkthrough might look like, but whatever standards and expectations you put on your kids, you will have the kids live up to those. And man, we saw great reward from that. Another thing that we did this year, we adjusted, it was through, me talking to Kenny back in 2020 during my season at UConn, but we changed half line to be either veer half line or mid half line. And so we were running 6 fits. And for us at Bethel last year, and it'll stay the same, we change fronts every rep. I know that's not common for other people, but it may go 4-2, 4-3, 50, bear. We are literally changing every front. Sometimes we tag it correctly, and sometimes we purposely tag it not correctly. And our kids are having to do that, adjustments. And man, that's been so beneficial. That's the core piece of our practice. And we also do what we call a jailbreak period. It's for us, it's during co-op where I get to take the 2 deep down to one end of the field while the rest of the guys service our defense. But during that time, I get to work any specials that we do. I get to work, teams jumping off sides and us snapping it, get to work 2-point plays. And so having a purposeful period for that, man, we've seen great dividends in that as well, because you just never know, when that's going to show up. And then, kind of the last thing I'll say about practice is, man, we defined practice this year. We got not tired of something. Well, maybe we did. Usually change things when you get tired of it. But, man, every drill had a purpose. So let's take group pod, for instance. Our kids were expected to have a 5-yard EAT burst. What's EAT mean? Effort, attitude, toughness. We've seen that at Kennesaw State. I think it's a great acronym. But for us, we use that and we said, man, we're not just going to go 2 or 3 yards full speed. You're going 5. We're going to define it. In our our toss jet, same thing. In our half line, we made that game like, they had to go until the whistle was blown. So they were getting more like 10-yard sprints. And I thought we saw great things come out on film of hustle plays, of guys making plays downfield because of us defining what that EAT burst looked like on every drill. And it was different. I don't need kids doing 10-yard, 100% reps every drill. But, man, they got to go 100% for at least 5 yards in our eyes. So, that's a lot to throw at you for practice. But I told you, man, I could talk all day on just practice, because honestly, that's been the reason we've had any success, in my opinion.
And I like the idea of bringing tackles down to option drill. Sometimes without that, you get some funky looks on the perimeter that you might be pitching into, you might be getting downhill in. And I think that's a really good idea. I like that one. I think sometimes people forget inside veer is more of a inside hash type play. So that
and we did it for mid triple as well.
Looks. Yeah,
it was for mid triple. We did it for both during option drill, and all the option guys listening to this know the tags that you like for both of those, and we all have to get a tackle on the perimeter at some point, whether we want to or not sometimes. And so I don't know. It was probably one of those moments Terry and I looked at each other and go, why did we just figure this out? And we were dedicated. We did it 1 day a week the whole season, and it was very, very good for us.
And how long was your jailbreak period?
That's 10 minutes.
Yeah, got it.
Hey,
awesome.
Coach,
that's
you
when I
want
get
to say?
to go, hey, jailbreak, I get to go scratch my itch, and that's when I get to watch the defense. You know what I mean? So that's
right.
Hey, but it did pay off, right? We scored a touchdown. Right, Jeremy? We scored a touchdown on a reverse and a double pass this year to win games. And so that was all taught during jailbreak. We don't have any other period to do it. And that was all Jeremy down there. And me, Coach Kelly runs a scout. He runs a scout huddle at that time. And I kind of just watch the defense and, get my defensive itch in at that time. So
that's right.
Hey, Coach Reed has a video out there you probably want to tell the listeners about too, because, man, it helped me so much as I was going into an offensive coordinator situation just this last year as far as how to plan your practices. And I know I've talked to a bunch of guys on our little Telegram or whatever that you've helped out a lot with, just that one little YouTube video, man, it's helped so many people, I guess is what I'm trying to say, Coach. And so it's very detailed, and it definitely just helps you out as an offensive coordinator, how you're going to plan and what exactly your offense is going to be, and forces you to kind of make them decisions, man, you need to make before you're going into a season, So that's out there. It's Chief Pigskin on YouTube, Jeremy Reed. Just search it up. Coach, we want to ask you about your pass game situation. We've noticed you got some really good passing concepts. Can you maybe talk to us maybe about one of them or two of them maybe?
Yeah, the boy, that's a rabbit hole right there in itself.
I know,
Terry's
man.
looking at me laughing, going, "They don't know what they just did." Let me first say this all started from a sense of frustration. I played quarterback. I was a spread quarterback, so let's not get it twisted. I was not under center running play action and doing it this way. But I just got frustrated with coaching quarterbacks to do what I felt was right and what most of us all teach, and then watch them fail. For instance, in this offense, I think everybody runs some type of switch concept in the play action with whether it's a post and a wheel or a switch seam and a wheel, depending on how you want to verbalize that. And you put those eyes on the corner and you tell that quarterback to read the corner, and you're either going to hit the post or you're going to hit the wheel. And he comes off of it and he goes to throw the wheel, and there's a post the safety undercutting it. I don't know if that's happened to anybody else, but I have physically watched that over and over and over. And the kid walk over to me and I go, well, I'm the one that taught you to do that. And so that sent me on a whole new way, and Terry and I just kind of talking. So there's a guy by the name of Dub Maddox with he has a thing out called R4, and Dub's a high school coach in Oklahoma, and we had mutual connections, and so I just called up Dub, and me and Terry drove to Tulsa, and we went and visited with him, and that started a absolute long study of how do we change our option passing game to be better. I'm not going to say anything but just better, and building in different types of structures to where we don't get pigeonholed into it's A or B. If A and B breaks down, you get flushed, there's going to be a C option. And so, just building out the structures differently. Honestly, I think of the passing game now like I think of the run game. If you're around the Kenny Wheaton system, we all operate off tags. And, for instance, if there's a 4-2 front, we're going to run inside veer, most of the country is going to load that, right? We all know that. Well, I think of that in terms of the passing game now. So off the switch seam, I'm going to have 2 or 3 different tags off of that to take advantage of void areas of how teams are fitting the inside veer. And I'm going to do that with all of our play action schemes. And, it's not rocket science, but we're just going to structure it different in the sense of, we all know when we bring a guy in motion, we can gain a hat at the snap of the football, right? Now the defense can too. They can roll and all that. So why in the passing game would we not structure some things where when we go in motion, not only do we take a guy across, but we bring a receiver across the center line and use him in some void areas where whether it's what we call a climb route, getting 15 to 18 on the far hash, whether it's a drag route, whatever, maybe it's a backside switch seam, taking the place of the front side switch seam, still run that switch concept, but do it with a backside receiver and a front side A-back. So all we've done is just kind of blow it up and restructure it in a way that fits the eyes of the quarterback, and that's not probably something to get onto tonight, but even how we teach the quarterback how to read it is completely different than anything I'd ever done in my life. And we're truly going to give these kids a way to not have to be perfect, where they're going to be able to take advantage of space that the defense gives.
Yeah. Is Dub at university? Where's he?
No,
at?
He's the offense coordinator at Tulsa Union High School.
Union.
And Tulsa Union. Yep. Phenomenal guy. Great stuff out there. We are definitely kind of some beta models, I feel like, for him, being 100% under center and being play action based. But I'll tell you what it did is we've also developed a true under center drop back game that we're doing concepts like any other spread team in the country, such as Y cross, 3 vert, the snag concept, the spacing, the stick. We're doing things that every other spread offense is doing, but now we're doing it out of the flex bone. And again, I think we're taking advantage of some void areas that you better fit right if you're going to run defend the option.
Yeah.
And we're going to come back and take advantage of it and not be scared to throw the football and not be ashamed to do it and have a true 1 minute drill and have a true 2 minute drill and truly not say we're going to come out and throw it 20 times a game. But if you want us to do that, we want to feel comfortable enough we can do it. And we want our kids to be confident that we can do it.
He's good. He's a good dude. I've read his book, Helmet to Headset, I think is what it's called. When he wrote that, he was at Jenks or whatever, and I learned so much, gained so much confidence to be able to coach a quarterback. How to work a progression from the top down. You know what I mean? Like a triangle, even. 1, 2, 3 kind of deal. I've learned so much from him, man, from his book. So he's a good dude.
Well, he's a genius.
Go ahead, but I'll tell you this, man. Just on being the O-line guy, what we've also done is our pass protection. Made a little tweak, nothing major, but it's the same.
I was just going to ask you that. Yeah.
And so with that being said, it's been amazing for me to watch because this was not the goal when Jeremy and I started to work together. But now I will tell you unequivocally, no one is doing what we're doing in the pass game in this offense. No one. And so unfortunately, so many people think evolving the offense means going to a shotgun snap. Don't laugh at me, Tony. But anyway,
I was going to say you boys are air raid certified now.
Yeah. Hey, but listen to me though. It's not right. It's taking advantage of the space. Yeah. Well, but it's taking advantage of the space you get so watching how that meeting with Dub Maddox has now it started this train of like with Jeremy and watching him in his office as he started working through this process with thinking about a quarterback and the route structures. It's been amazing to me. And man, on the head coach side of this, right, watching that happen, knowing that our quarterbacks now have confidence, we can complete passes and it's not embarrassing to throw the football like for a lot of option teams. So watching that, man, extremely proud of that. But knowing for me, being a flex bone guy, knowing we're doing with our structure still intact, that base, quarterback, feedback, and 2 slots, right, for the most part. But I think, you run and shoot guys, you need to get up here and listen to this stuff and talk to Jeremy about it because no one's doing it. And I'm not trying to sound arrogant, nor am I trying to act like anything else, but no one's doing what we're doing in the pass game, which is a credit to Jeremy. And what I'll tell you is you have to consider, right? So then we think of it from our perspective. We're coming to Fringe University right now, who has not ran this offense, right? They were a spread football team. Well, now we can come in here and take advantage of the kids that they have and the kids, the talent that we have. And that could be any high school coach could be in that situation. Any college coach could be in that situation, And so you have to be aware that, can in the pass game, you take advantage of it when you have those type of kids. And so for us, especially as college coaches, the receivers, it's not selfish to want the ball thrown to you, by the way, right? And we talk to our kids about this all the time. All right, now that can't be your only motivation, but we have a system now to take advantage of it. If our receivers are our best players, we can take advantage of that. And we're not going to just go and sabotage ourselves because we run the dang ball. We're gonna do what it takes to win. And I'm excited to see where that goes. We just scratched the surface at our previous job, because we were, we were there doing this really for 1 year, and then now we're moving here. But that to me is what's I'm really proud of. And when we talk to guys and we listen to guys speak, I think that's the separator for us between everyone else. Guys that have ran this offense a long time, you can always get better at running the ball and you can always structure practice. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do after that? And what are you going to do to evolve? And I think, there's only 2 things you can do with a ball, and that's run it or pass it, right? And what we want to be is our experts in the pass game as well, while still committed to this offense. And I think that's been honestly just like I said, I just laugh about it because it's really funny. The problem is we ran the ball so well last year. It didn't matter. We didn't even get to do it all. So it was like, well, we're running for 450 yards a game, so let's just keep doing that. But we have the bullets in the gun, I guess, to where we can do those things, and that's been pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. Just to add, I remember this was like, I don't know, a while back. We played a team, and after watching film, I think it was a boot concept or something. I had my backside deep cross coming over, the crossing route, and he's wide open, but I didn't know how to tell my quarterback, to hit that guy. You know what I mean? Because of the way I taught him to work the progression or whatever. And so that's what that book really helped me give a language to the quarterback to be able to talk with him and tell him how to get to that route that's wide open. You know what I mean? So just another publicity, a little bit more publicity for Dub Maddox, I guess is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he deserves it. He does a great job. He helps coaches. And, the thing that just really stood out to me and Terry when we were building this passing game idea was we felt like we were so well versed and had such a good system in the run game. Like, it's black and white, cut and dry. It's so good in, as far as how it's structured. And obviously people before us helped us get to this point. But the passing game just felt like almost it was guesswork. Like you might see a play before somebody fit one way, and then you call the pass play and, well, you better be right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've got to call it right. And where we wanted to get to was, let's make the passing game like the run game where we don't have to guess right. Like it's kind of like defensive blitzing. Okay. And that could go down a whole nother fun conversation with the way we are going to be on defense at Friends. But blitzing, for the most part, if a coach is calling it from sideline, straight guess.
Yep.
Blitzing's a guess. How many times you land those things? And that's where we wanted to get away from in the pass game, where we didn't feel like we were guessing and we were building something that was true and successful in all situations, not just, we're just going to be a play action team. And so everything that we've done has been at a level of just, we had a little bit of frustration and wanted to make a change. And honestly, last year was our pilot year, and we're not claiming that we've got it all figured out, but boy, we're still pursuing it and really like where we're headed.
That's exciting.
Yeah. I'm not going. Yeah. I'm there. Quite past there.
I'm tuned in.
I'm with you. I'm with you. There's some stuff you can do against 3-2 exchange in a pass game that if that's the way they're going to defend you, tears them up. I need to get into that right now. So you guys still doing your glow ups, your spotlights at the end of practice? You still going to?
Yeah. Okay. We still do put ups. That's the thing. And, I think we talked about the last podcast I did, how that was the way I learned it, which, Jeremy learned it and has always done it as a spotlight. And so, one of our goals, one of the cool parts is when you come to a new program, you get a fresh start, and the plan is to do both here, right? So keep the put ups because that's how we learned it, but then also doing a spotlight. They're just a little different, and I think it'll be good to, it's the same idea, right? Of, being a program that builds people up, not tears people down, but we're going to use both strategies, I guess is the way to put it. For our kids, and that's been fun to see because that is definitely new. When you forget when your program operates that way, like we've always done, you kind of lose sight of how new and radically different that is until you go somewhere new. And so these guys here at Friends, the kids have done such a fantastic job of embracing us, and they're doing their best to adapt to a new staff. But that's been fun to see because it's it is true. It really is different, than a lot of coaches operate, I guess.
Yeah, no. And it's, and it works. I mean, you got to, whoever's listening, you got to do it. Call them up, figure it out, go to 3D coaching, whatever you got to do, but stuff works, period. We've already talked a lot about drills and things like that. So I think maybe we could land a plane by having you guys, maybe just each of you kind of give the listeners your best way to contact you. And then before you leave, I want you to talk about your Wednesday FCA option clinics you're going to be doing for free for local coaches there in Kansas, and then talk about the National Option Clinic in April.
Yeah, I'll go first, Jeremy, because you'll have more to talk about than me. But I will say, so the best way probably for me is Twitter. That's probably the easiest, right? Just add Coach Harrison FU. And then there's also my email is Terry_Harrison@friends.edu. Those are the best ways. But man, I would tell you, reach out. Would love to help coaches out. I'll do the best I can to help anyone, share film, all that stuff. Everything I do, I've learned from someone else, and and it has been given to me freely. And we're just trying to pass that torch on to as many people as we can. And we would love to do that. And I will tell you, if you're out there and you're a high school coach, or anybody really, but if you're a high school coach and you don't know anything about NAIA football, I would challenge you, if for nothing else, come to our campus this spring and come to our clinic. I think once you're on our campus, it will absolutely change your perception. It will change. It will just change the dynamic when you think about NAIA football and kids that come out to Kansas and what that might be like. And I'll tell you, man, it is a first-class school, first-class university. We have first-class facilities, and I think our coaching staff is made up of good, tough men. And we really are just trying to pump out Christian Warrior kids. And I think that's what this world's lacking, man, just tough guys, right? And so we truly are proud to do that. So, yeah. So anyway, but that's how you get a hold of me, please. We would love kids, undersized O linemen that are nasty, man. Send them our way. We would love to recruit them. And then I'll let Jeremy talk about how to contact him. And I'll also add Coach Kelly. Eric Kelly's our slot coach, and he's as much a part of this as anybody, and love him. And he's been my guy for a long time. Reaching out, he's our recruiting coordinator. So obviously you can find him on Twitter too. I think he's at Coach Kelly FU. And so if you send it to him, that'd be great. Either one of us, we're going to recruit your kids. And man, if there's a kid that you is a team captain, that would be a great developed kid or just a great team guy. And obviously those talented kids, we're recruiting against a lot of D2s all the time. Those are the kids we really want, they can help us pursue this national championship. And so anyway, I'll leave it at that. And then Jeremy can talk about his contact, and then talk about our clinics that are coming up.
Yeah. So the best two ways to get hold of me, Twitter is at Coach Reed. That's REED, and then FU, and then NIV. So at Coach Reed, FU, NIV is my Twitter. And then my email is Jeremy, JEREMY, _Reed @friends.edu. So a couple things we have going, starting on February 2nd. We will have every Wednesday night a coaches social there at Friends University, where we'll have 2 speakers each night from the area. We'll also have our defensive coordinator one week, and then we'll also each week have 15 minutes where we're going to introduce something regarding 3-dimensional coaching. Just really excited to be given that for free. We have a sponsor who's going to feed all the coaches, and we just wanted to give back to the area high school coaches. So yeah, if you're anywhere near the area and want to come in, man, we would love to have you. And we're real excited just to open up our facility for that. And then the last one is the big one as far as the National Option Clinic. And, for guys that don't understand that name, Larry Thexton was a coach down in Texas that put this clinic on for a long time. And Larry got out of coaching and contacted me and wanted to know if I would, just kind of take on that name, and knew that I'd put on the clinic, in my area of the world in Oklahoma since 2013. And so, that's the reason we're calling it the National Option Clinic. It has nothing to do with notoriety. It's simply carrying on that name that Larry gave to me. And we're very honored to carry that on. And usually we do bring in outside speakers. This year, being a new place, we just felt like it was probably best that we keep it in-house. So we're going to have a really fun 2 days. The first day on April the 29th, Coach Harrison, myself, and Coach Kelly will all speak 2 different times over a wide variety of topics. I'm going to speak twice on building the passing game and the structures and the different ways we teach it. I know Coach Kelly's going to talk A-backs, and if you haven't heard a guy talk detailed A-back play, man, you want to come listen to this, because I've been a lot of places. I don't know if I've ever heard anybody talk with more detail of how they do A-backs than Eric Kelly. He's worth your price. And then, of course, Coach Harrison's going to talk about everything we do on the O-line, and he's got drill tape for everything. And then, I'm making him do one session for program building. because he took the worst college football program in the nation over a 100-year period and turned it completely around. And, some guys need to hear some ways he did that. And, hey, he might remind himself of what he needs to do again here real shortly, right? But anyway, that's going to be good. So we're going to do that, and we're going to have meetings, so all the coaches be a part of our meetings. Then we're going to have practice, and we're going to send everybody to dinner. And then we're going to come back, and we're actually going to do a night session all together where I'm going to introduce how we break down practice with the notes that I take and give to coaches and how we use those. And then we're going to have a session over breaking down defensive personnel. It's something new that we did this year. It's based off of the R4 principles, and it was groundbreaking for us. And it was 100% spot on every week against defenses, and it was a game changer as far as just knowledge. And then Saturday morning, we'll clinic again. All the coaches will speak 2 times, I believe is what it is. And then we'll have our final spring practice of the 2022 year. And, we're just excited for that. So, again, it's April 29th and 30th. You can fly into Wichita, 3 miles from the airport. Man, we are super excited to host as many option coaches as we can get. And I promise you won't be disappointed from where this is located in our campus. And, it's just going to be what we always say, the most hands-on clinic you'll ever go to.
Yep. Not for sure. If you can get there. That's what we always say. Right?
And I'll add to that. Hey, I know we're getting towards the end. I think the most unique part, look, Coach Wheaton and Kevin, those guys, they are so awesome, and they've been so awesome to me, and I've learned so much from them. Probably the most unique thing about this one, listen, the kids we're about to work with have never done this before. And so if you're out there and you want to see you go watch Kenny's guys, and those guys are so polished. My goodness, man. Every time I leave, anytime I watch Harding do something, I leave like, I got to do better. You know how it is. I think everybody has that thought. And what's unique about this, I think, which will make it really cool, because it would have been different in our previous school too. We'd have been 5 years in. Kids were more polished. I mean, these guys are going to be, by the time you guys come up to our clinic, they will be on their 14th and 15th practice. That's it. And I mean, these guys are going to be, so it is a lot like dealing with a brand new program. And if you take a new job, you're going to see kids that are raw and fresh. They will not be perfect, I promise you. But man, I think you'll be able to see how far we get in just 15 actual practice days. And I think that's a pretty cool opportunity, right? That you just don't get that often to see a staff brand new install it with kids that have never done it before. And that's pretty cool.
No, that brings up a great point, because I would say, Tony, don't you say we probably get that question the most. I'm taking over. I want to run this offense.
Yeah.
What do I do? Right. And, it's like, okay, well, you got 5-6 days here. I mean, seriously, but this would be a great opportunity, because you'd get to see that specific idea, concept be born right there. You know what I mean? So that'd be.
Oh yeah, we're going to be laughing and crying together, man. They're going to be. We're going to be fresh, baby. We're going to have plenty of practice. The practice note session is going to be plenty. You know what I mean? There's going to be a lot of stuff to go over. So pretty cool. I'm excited about it. Our kids will do great. I know that just from knowing them very shortly. But it is a really cool opportunity, I think, to see brand spanking new kids do it with a brand new staff.
Yeah, because that only happens once.
Exactly.
Right. So,
exactly.
Yeah. Well, listen, fellas, man, we really appreciate you taking the time away from family and the program to come on and talk with us. We're so excited for you, happy for you. Can't wait to see the success, because we know it's going to happen. And wish you guys the best.
Yeah. Good luck this season, fellas. We're rooting for you.
All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you, man.